Youngstown, Ohio, a city of steel and grit. It was here that Shannon Graves, a vibrant young woman of 28, lived and loved. She had a smile that could light up a room, a laugh that was contagious. Shannon was the life of the party, the friend you could always count on. She had a big heart, always willing to lend a helping hand. Life was good, full of promise. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. February 2017, a chill hung in the air, a harbinger of something ominous. Shannon Graves vanished, gone, without a trace. At first it was just a whisper, a missed call, an unanswered text. Days turned into weeks, silence echoing where her laughter once filled the air. A creeping unease began to settle in the hearts of those who knew her best. Shannon's disappearance was a puzzle with missing pieces. Her car was still seen around Youngstown. Her phone, a lifeline now severed, remained active. Even her beloved dog, a constant companion, was being cared for. It was as if her life was continuing, but without her. Her boyfriend, Arturo Art Novoa, had an explanation, always ready at the tip of his tongue. She needed space, he'd say, a carefully crafted mask of concern. She's gone away for a while. But a shadow had fallen over Shannon's life, a chilling replacement. A new woman, Katrina Layton, emerged by Art's side. She moved into Shannon's apartment, a ghost inhabiting a stolen life. She drove Shannon's car, used her phone, even cared for her dog. It was a grotesque imitation, a macabre performance. Katrina, it seemed, had seamlessly stepped into the void left by Shannon. Whispers turned to murmurs, suspicion swirling like the winter wind. Friends and family, their concern growing with each passing day, were met with vague answers, deflection, and a chilling lack of remorse. She didn't want to be found, Art would insist, his voice smooth, practiced, but the facade was cracking. Art's behavior, his quick replacement of Shannon, rang hollow. The pieces didn't fit, the charade was unraveling, thread by thread. Shannon's loved ones refused to be silenced, their worry transforming into a steely resolve. They knew, deep down, that something was terribly wrong. Their search for answers would lead them down a path darker than they could have ever imagined. Months crawled by, each one an agonizing echo of Shannon's absence. Her loved ones clung to hope, however faint, praying for her safe return. Yet, a chilling silence had descended, a silence thick with unanswered questions. The life that Katrina Layton so brazenly inhabited mocked their pain, a constant, cruel reminder of their loss. The investigation continued, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. Detectives meticulously followed every lead, every whisper, every fleeting possibility. But Shannon remained elusive, her fate shrouded in a mystery that seemed impenetrable. The city held its breath, waiting, hoping, fearing the truth that lay hidden. July 2017. The summer heat hung heavy over Youngstown, a stark contrast to the icy grip of fear that had settled over the city. An old freezer, forgotten, abandoned in a basement, became an unexpected key to unlocking the truth. It had belonged to Art and Katrina, a seemingly insignificant possession they had discarded. But this silent witness held a secret, a gruesome tale waiting to be told. A foul odor, the stench of decay, began to seep from its depths, a chilling testament to the horror it concealed. The homeowner, his curiosity turning to dread, couldn't ignore the sickening smell any longer. He opened the freezer, and the world tilted on its axis. Inside, wrapped in plastic, frozen in a grotesque parody of slumber, lay a human body. The news spread like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of shock and disbelief. The city that had held its breath now gasped in horror, the truth a bitter pill to swallow. Shannon Graves, the vibrant young woman who had vanished into thin air, had been found. But her discovery was not a joyous reunion, not a homecoming. It was the horrifying confirmation of their worst fears. Shannon had been murdered, her body dismembered, discarded like garbage. And the people responsible, the ones who had maintained their charade of normalcy, were about to face the consequences of their unspeakable actions. The discovery of Shannon's remains sent shockwaves through Youngstown. The city, once cloaked in anxious anticipation, was now draped in a shroud of grief and outrage. The investigation, once a beacon of hope, transformed into a hunt for justice. Detectives, their faces grim, worked tirelessly, piecing together the fragments of a life brutally taken. The focus shifted to Art Novoa and Katrina Layton, their web of lies beginning to unravel. Their carefully constructed facade of normalcy crumbled under the weight of scrutiny. The charade was over. The walls were closing in. Interrogations began, the air thick with tension. Art and Katrina, their faces now etched with fear, clung to their stories, but their alibis were riddled with holes. The truth, like bloodstains on a white lie, was starting to seep through. Phone records placed Art at Shannon's apartment on the night of her disappearance. Witnesses came forward, their memories triggered by the gruesome discovery, recalling suspicious activity, hushed conversations, and glimpses of fear in Art's eyes. The pieces of the puzzle, once scattered and unclear, began to lock into place, forming a horrifying picture. Art Novoa, the man who claimed to love Shannon, was now the prime suspect in her murder. And Katrina Layton, the woman who had so seamlessly assumed Shannon's life, was now implicated in the cover-up. The investigation revealed the chilling truth. Shannon's murder was not a crime of passion, but a calculated act of brutality. The details, revealed in court documents and whispered in hushed tones, sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened investigators. Shannon had been murdered in her own apartment, the place where she should have felt safest. The violence inflicted upon her, the sheer brutality of it, spoke of a rage that defied comprehension. After the murder, Art, with Katrina's help, embarked on a chilling campaign of deception. They disposed of evidence, scrubbing away traces of their crime with a chilling meticulousness. They lied to Shannon's loved ones, weaving a tapestry of deceit that kept the truth hidden for months. And all the while, Katrina lived Shannon's life, a grotesque mockery of the woman she had helped to silence. As the details of the investigation unfolded, a collective gasp of horror echoed through Youngstown. The community, once united in hope, was now bound by shared grief and a profound sense of betrayal. How could someone they knew, someone who lived among them, commit such an unspeakable act? The answer, as chilling as it was, lay in the heart of a killer, concealed beneath a veneer of normalcy. The case of Shannon Graves became a morbid fascination, a stark reminder that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places. The city watched, transfixed, as the legal proceedings began, their thirst for justice insatiable. Shannon's memory, forever intertwined with tragedy, became a symbol of vulnerability, of the fragility of life, and the monstrous capacity for evil that resides within some. Her story, forever etched in the annals of Youngstown's history, served as a chilling reminder that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they walk among us, hiding in plain sight. The wheels of justice, often grinding at a frustratingly slow pace, seemed to spin a little faster, fueled by the public outcry and a shared thirst for answers. Art Novoa and Katrina Layton, now stripped of their masks of normalcy, stood accused of a heinous crime, their actions laid bare for the world to judge. The courtroom became a stage for a chilling drama, a real-life tragedy playing out in agonizing detail. Shannon's loved ones, their faces etched with grief and anger, filled the benches, their presence a silent testament to the woman they had lost. Prosecutors, armed with a mountain of evidence, painted a picture of a cold-blooded murder, a carefully orchestrated cover-up, and a betrayal so profound it defied comprehension. They detailed the forensic findings, the chilling testimony of witnesses, and the web of lies that Art and Katrina had spun, a web that had finally unraveled under the weight of their own deceit. The defense, their task seemingly insurmountable, attempted to sow seeds of doubt, to shift blame, to portray Art and Katrina as victims of circumstance rather than the architects of their own horrifying actions. But the evidence, like the stench of death that had clung to that old freezer, was too overwhelming to ignore. As the trial progressed, the weight of the evidence, the sheer brutality of the crime became too much for Art Novoa to bear. In a move that surprised many, he struck a deal, pleading guilty to murder, corpse abuse, and tampering with evidence. The courtroom, usually abuzz with whispers and speculation, fell silent as the judge read out the sentence. Life in prison. A collective sigh, a mixture of relief and resignation, swept through the room. Katrina Layton, her role in Shannon's death deemed less direct but no less reprehensible, faced a separate trial. She was charged with complicity, her silence, her willingness to assume Shannon's life, painting her as a willing participant in a macabre dance of death. The jury, their faces etched with the weight of their decision, found her guilty. Her sentence, though substantial, paled in comparison to Art's. A significant prison term, but one that offered the possibility of parole, a fact that sparked outrage among those who believed she deserved a harsher punishment. With the trials concluded, with justice, however imperfect, served, the city of Youngstown attempted to exhale, to find solace in the aftermath of a tragedy that had shaken them to their core. The case of Shannon Graves became a cautionary tale, a reminder that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places, that monsters don't always fit the profile, and that even in the tight-knit fabric of a community, evil can take root. Vigils were held, candles flickering in the darkness, casting long shadows of remembrance. Shannon's name, once whispered in fear, was now spoken with a mix of sadness and reverence, a symbol of a life stolen too soon. For Shannon's loved ones, the pain remained raw, a wound that would never truly heal. The sentences handed down, the pronouncements of justice did little to ease their grief, their sense of loss amplified by the knowledge that Shannon's last moments were filled with unimaginable terror. They clung to memories, to the echoes of her laughter, the warmth of her smile, seeking solace in the fragments of a life that had been so brutally extinguished. Shannon Graves, the vibrant young woman who had touched so many lives, was gone, but her story, a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty and the enduring power of love, would continue to resonate. The trial was over. The gavel had fallen, sentences were handed down. Yet a palpable unease lingered, a chill that even the summer heat couldn't dispel. Youngstown, a city known for its resilience, its grit, had been shaken to its core. The case of Shannon Graves, a story of love and betrayal, of life and death, had left an indelible mark, a scar on the collective consciousness of its people. It was a stark reminder that evil could lurk beneath the surface of the ordinary, that even in a place where everyone knew their neighbor's name, darkness could find a home. The whispers started, hushed conversations in grocery store aisles, uneasy glances exchanged across restaurant tables. How could someone they knew, someone who walked among them, commit such a horrific act? The answer, as elusive as it was unsettling, lay buried in the heart of a killer, a heart shrouded in darkness and deceit. Art Novoa, the man who had pledged his love to Shannon, had become a symbol of betrayal, his name forever etched in the annals of Youngstown's darkest chapter. And Katrina Layton, the woman who had so readily stepped into Shannon's life, her complicity painting her as a ghoulish figure, a willing participant in a macabre dance of death. Their actions had not only taken a life but had shattered the fragile illusion of safety, the unspoken trust that held a community together. Shannon's story, a brutal reminder of the fragility of life, became a cautionary tale, whispered from parent to child, friend to friend. It was a story that spoke of the dangers of naivety, of the importance of vigilance, of the monsters that could hide in plain sight. And as the city mourned, as it grappled with the enormity of the loss, a quiet determination began to take root, a shared vow to honor Shannon's memory by never forgetting her story. In the years since her death, Shannon Graves has become more than just a victim, more than just a name in a news report. She has become a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, the human spirit can endure. Her story, though born of tragedy, has sparked conversations about domestic violence, about the importance of listening to our instincts, about the warning signs we often miss. It has ignited a passion for justice, a determination to hold perpetrators accountable, to ensure that other families don't have to endure the same unimaginable pain. And in the quiet moments, in the spaces between the headlines and the court transcripts, Shannon is remembered for the woman she was, a loving daughter, a loyal friend, a bright light extinguished too soon. Her laughter still echoes in the memories of those who loved her most, her kindness a beacon in the darkness, her spirit a testament to a life lived with passion and purpose. Shannon's story is a reminder that even in death, there can be a legacy of love, a legacy of hope, a legacy that transcends the darkness and inspires us all to fight for a world where such tragedies are never repeated. Rest in peace, Shannon Graves.